Okay, as there are these three key elements, there are also three levels that traders find themselves working through. And the three levels are profit orientation, loss orientation, and risk orientation. And this is quite an interesting one actually, because when people come to the markets, they're full of enthusiasm. You know, they've got this new venture, and it's always a good time. You're always full of positive thoughts about this new venture. You've got the thought you're going to make money. The important thing is you actually put some research in to do that. I mentioned the shop earlier. That, you know, it's very important that you actually have spent time researching your new venture, so that you I can almost further the balcony then. Sorry. Yeah. So that you have a positive expectation, not based purely on hope or that kind of stuff, but actually based on hard work you put into the thing. And there is this law of attraction, which definitely works. I mean, I've benefited from that myself. And the basis that, you know, if you think about it, you focus on something very strongly, then that will come to you. So in the early days, this profit orientation is a good thing, because you attract the profits to you. But the markets are risky, and you know you're at that point you're also a fugitive from the law of averages, and the market will get you, sadly, almost invariably. Some people escape this actually, but it's not common. The next level is loss orientation. Now, at this point in time, you've just been kicked by the market, so you're sort of focused on losing money, and the law of attraction works that way as well. That's not a good time. It can take a long time to go through that phase, because you tend to strangle your trades. You use very tight stops. You tend to grab the smallest profit you see because you're desperate for a profit, and all this among all these losses you're making. You don't tend to lose much money actually. You tend to just spin your wheels because you're very careful about risk control. But it's a very frustrating time for many traders. And it's only when you get through that and become risk orientated or risk reward orientated, and you see the whole picture. You see the profits and the losses. You see how the risk works out. It's almost like you've got the full view. You've got the full perspective of what you're actually doing in the marketplace. It's at that point you start to make serious money in the markets. So these three levels are important. Okay, tip 8 regards random reinforcement. This is a big thing in the marketplace. In the real world, we cross the road and we see what's coming, and we almost all the time we're successful. We cross the road, we're safe. In the marketplace though, we try and cross the road, a bus suddenly appears and runs us down, because things change. Something that worked yesterday no longer works today, and it's a very different environment. A system that we used yesterday and made us, I know, say 20 points, today it loses 30 points. And this is random reinforcement, where one thing works one day and not the next day. And it's very easy to be fooled by this. It's why you have to test the system carefully and not just focus on the last trade. You have to focus on the last 100 trades for your system to get a view of how the system is doing, and certainly not the last trade. It's just something to be very, very aware of in the marketplace. Tip 9, there's no such thing as failure. Chris Kardell once interviewed Michael Jackson, and he just released an album, I forget what it was called now, but it wasn't a great success. And he was he was recording Thriller, and he said, this is going to be the greatest album of all time, to Chris Kardell. And Chris said, well, how do you know that? It could be a complete failure. And Michael Jackson said, look, that word is not in my vocabulary. I just don't use it. It's got nothing to do with me. This is going to be the best album of all time. Now, as it happened, I was quite surprised to discover that AC/DC, Back in Black, is the second best-selling album. It's the best-selling album for a band of all time. 50 million copies of that album has been released. Great album. But Thriller topped it with 100 million. And it is the best-selling album by a solo artist of all time. So it's quite curious you should say that. But it's certainly true. Failure is a complete misnomer, because the people who succeed fail, so-called, far more than the people who don't succeed, because they keep trying. I mean, I fail all the time, but I keep on trying. And people say to me, well, why are you doing this? It's a waste of your time. You're not getting anywhere with this. I mean, recording these videos, for example, I've had people tell me that I shouldn't waste my time. Get the professionals in. But I can't do that. I need to be able to record videos so I can record them when I have the thought. I don't have to go to a studio and wherever it might be. I need to be able to convey information on a regular basis. So I say to these people, when you're talking about not being able to do things, don't interrupt those who are just doing it. That's how it is. There is no failure. I'm just learning a process. And that's what any failure is. It's learning a process, learning how to do things. Edison, I know, failed 1,000 times to make a light bulb, But that isn't fair at all. He was developing the techniques to make a light bulb, and that's what you're doing. So forget about failure; it doesn't exist. There's no such thing, unless of course you give up. I mean, I think another interesting saying is that a failure is not a person; it's just an event, something that happens. As long as you keep going, as long as you keep learning, it is the key element. You just don't stop. You persevere. But if you don't persevere, of course, then yes, you're never going to reach your dreams. And that's the key thing. And I think our education system actually is very badly founded in these matters, because it tends to reward success in the sense, and although it's important to do that, it should be clear to everybody concerned that there is no failure. I hope I've made that clear, because it's probably one of the most important points. This is tip 9, by the way. That there is no failure. Repeating the phrase isn't going to actually make it any more important. But if you look at all the people who've got places in the world, and Michael Jackson is no exception, although of course now he's deceased, they have failed a lot more than most people, so therefore a lot more than the people who are watching this video, probably, because the people who have got to the top of their professions or their businesses or whatever it might be are generally the people who have just kept on going, kept on persevering, and always, of course, pushing themselves a bit further. So as you push yourself that bit further, that you won't succeed. I would only want to use the word failure. It doesn't apply in these situations. But they're the people who are going to be at the extreme, and they're the people who are going to keep on making mistakes and keep on learning and getting better and better. And that's what it's all about. Okay, this is the final tip, tip 10. I talked about the 3 levels traders go through. I talked about the 3 key areas you need to have behind your trading, the psychology, the systems, the money management. And now I'm going to talk about the 3 elements that will get you where you got to go. One is putting in the work. I've discussed that. It's one of the key tips. Second one is the perseverance. I talked about this last time with the failure thing. And the third one is just these 10 tips. Go through these 10 tips, and you will get there. It's a framework, a guideline, a framework for you to work through to reach success. Not just in trading, actually, but virtually anything. There will be differences in the trading business to other businesses, but the same things will apply. And if you do those 3 things, if you set the bases right, the psychology, strategies of your business, not necessarily the trading business, but of your business, and control the cash, which is what management is really. This is a key element of business, controlling the cash. And you put in the work, and you're aware of the different levels. The same to a business again. You have a different strategy to an extent, but you have the same sort of things in business. As you learn things, you start out rosy-eyed, and you learn stuff. You may go through a few tough times where you might get a bit fearful. You go through those, you learn more, and then you get this wider view, and persevering, and you'll get there. And that's why I do what I do, I guess, because I want people to succeed. It's just so great when you meet people who thank you for what the contribution you made to their lives. Really, that's what I think is the most rewarding thing for anybody. Actually, I think I've never met anybody who feels differently about that. It's what you do for other people that makes life worth living. No, not just those nearest to us, not my family, my daughter, not those people. Well, obviously, not those people only, but the wider world. Anyway, I think that's a good note to end on. I hope you found that this clip interesting and useful. And I'm now going off for a run, hopefully before this rain deluge sets in, and we'll all get washed away. Last night we had to drive down I'm walking down the slope. We're quite high up here, to get to pick up a taxi. And by the time I got there, I may as well be standing in the shower, fully dressed, completely drenched. So I had to get the taxi back up here again. Anyway, I'll leave you with that, and thank you for listening. Bye for now.